Mention the Caribbean in the 1970s, and a very specific image comes to mind. It's an era globally defined by a cultural revolution of reggae, unity, and the peaceful, smiling face of Bob Marley. But look closer at the streets of Kingston during that same decade. You will find burning tires, makeshift barricades, and heavily armed militias patrolling. To an outside observer, the smoke rising from these neighborhoods looked like the byproduct of deep poverty or localized drug feuds. This violence followed a tactical logic. It functioned as a mechanism of the state, used to secure and protect voting blocks in the capital. This system transformed the city into a collection of garrisons, fortified neighborhoods where physical borders were drawn to ensure every resident voted exactly as the politicians demanded. To see how a city becomes a fortress, you have to look at the zero-sum rivalry between Jamaica's two main political groups, the Jamaica Labour Party, or JLP, and the People's National Party, the PNP. On the JLP side, the strategist behind this territorial shift was Edward Seaga. His rival, leading the PNP faction, was Michael Manley. In the mid-1960s, the state bulldozed an entire neighborhood known as Bacca Wall, displacing thousands of residents who belonged to the opposing political base. They cleared the ground specifically to build a stronghold of loyalists. What replaced those organic streets were housing projects built like bunkers. The JLP built Tivoli Gardens, and the PNP countered with Arnett Gardens. These developments utilized rigid, uniform concrete blocks that functioned as physical barriers against rival factions. City planning served as a partisan filter. The government tied a citizen's housing directly to their required political loyalty. Creating a physical fortress is only the first step. The politicians required street-level commanders to patrol these borders and enforce party discipline. They called them Dons. For the PNP, men like Winston Burry-Boy Blake and George Feathermop Spence became instruments of the party. They were state-sanctioned actors, operating to keep rival voters too intimidated to leave their homes. Because they operated under a political shield, they worked in the open. They rode 30 deep on Honda motorcycles through dark urban streets to terrorize rival neighborhoods and intimidated civil servants to secure government contracts for cash. This historical excerpt shows how the system scaled as foreign intelligence became a factor. It outlines allegations that the CIA funneled guns into Jamaica to destabilize the PNP government, fueling systematic violence for the purpose of forcing loyalty among the population. This page documents the brutality that followed. By 1976, the political culture had degraded to the point that gunmen were burning out the homes of political opponents, with reports of children being thrown into the fires. The Jamaican state had built a machine that delivered election victories by erasing the line between democratic governance and organized crime. There is a fatal flaw in hiring private militias to win elections. Eventually, the politicians become dependent on the Dons who deliver their votes. We see the power relationship reversing, where the street begins to dictate terms to the state. When Barry Boy was assassinated in 1975, the scale of that street power became visible. Tens of thousands of mourners flooded Kingston, while rival gunmen opened fire on the procession. The government had effectively outsourced its authority to the street, with the Prime Minister himself joining the funeral procession of a known gang enforcer. Not everyone played along. Reggae icon Peter Tosh refused to bow to either party, using his global platform to mock the politicians and their armed tribalism. In a system that demands absolute loyalty to the party line, independent artists preaching peace became the primary targets. This document recounts the 1987 assassination of Peter Tosh by armed men in his home. It identifies the killer as Lepo, a recently paroled enforcer. Because Tosh refused protection, the text notes widespread suspicions that higher authorities were responsible for silencing their longtime enemy. The architects of this system eventually retired, but the concrete borders they built and the heavy weapons they imported never left Kingston. When violence is used to win democracy, the damage outlasts the election cycle.